Hey guys, welcome. Episode 19. It is Tuesday. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. But yes, we have several things we're going to talk about today. There was a lot that I actually had to cut down. So it's very exciting. If you're new here, say hi. If you are a regular, also say hi. I see you, East Boogie. Hello to you too. Thank you for always supporting. East Boogie and everybody else who shows up, please give this video a like and let's get into the topics that we're going to be talking about today. So the first one we're going to talk about is student loan interest. There have been some new announcements in regards to that. So if you have student loans, pay attention when I talk about that. And yep, I'll talk a little bit about like my past experience with it to kind of give. Hi, Aisha Abdullah. Hello. Thanks for saying hi. Then we're going to talk about inflation because there have been updates as of how inflation was in June of 2025 last month. We are now in July. And we're going to lastly talk about how Americans have changed their 401ks in light of what has been happening in the stock market. They are not waiting around. They have decided to put their destiny in their own hand. All right. So with student loan interest, first topic. This is going to affect 7.7 million people starting on August 1st. Before I talk about what's new, I want to talk about what's old. So what's old and what's current right now is a lot of people are on the SAVE program, which stands for Saving on a Valuable Education. And this was implemented in 2023 by the last president. If you are on this program, you have not been required to make payments since then if you signed up. And another benefit is that your interest is not accruing. So it's like you have an interest-free loan if you have federal student loans, because you can have federal and which is public, and you can have private, which is through a bank. This is not talking about the private bank loans. This has helped a lot of people. And if you were considered low income, you paid as little as $0 a month. But I know even if you didn't qualify for low income, the payments generally were not more than like 8% of your qualified gross income. That helps a lot of people that I know personally that has helped. And then after, if you were in the SAVE program, if you've had your debt for 25 years, it would be forgiven after those 25 years. So you wouldn't have to worry about it. And I know that would be an amazing thing because I know people in their 60s to this day that still have student loans. From when they were going to college in their 20s and their 30s. Now let's talk about the new program. The new program means that interest is going to start accruing and being added to your balance starting August 1st, even if you don't have payments. So the SAVE thing is good until at least the end of the year, December 2025. And then January 2026, there's going to be something new. They haven't announced it yet. So let's say you're on SAVE, you can be fine and not make your payments until the end of the year, but your interest is going to start accruing in about 15 days. And there's an advocacy group, according to Fortune, which is my source for this, that says that the average person who has student loan at the moment, hi Fun Size, I think you're trying to say hi. Hi, thanks for saying hi in the chat. But this is going to cost people an average of $300 a month. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. With the interest accruing, they're saying that our cost will increase by $300 a month. Now, there was a time where I did have student loans, and since I don't have them right now, but I do have some experience with it, I was like, well, let me give out like a potential plan. I'm not saying you have to follow this plan, but if it were me, which I have been affected by interest, which I'll talk about in a little bit, if I could afford it, I would start paying in August interest only, because that interest, for lack of a better word, is a bitch. And I will say, when I graduated school, I didn't pay for the first 6 months because the first 6 months they gave you a grace period. But I will tell you, in the 6 months after I graduated in May. So I made my first payment December 2013. My balance went from $130,000 to $160,000. And I didn't even realize that until like a year later. I was like, okay, whatever my payment is, I'll just pay it. But I was just paying that and getting used to paying it, which was a little bit over $1,000. Fun Size says, I'm confused. I thought they had already started interest, paid mine off in January, and they were adding it. I'm not sure. According to Fortune, they said that it's not starting if you were in the SAVE program until August 1st. And I know people personally that have said that it's not, there's no interest accruing on their loan. So I don't know. But I'm glad you paid them off. That's awesome. It's such a good feeling. It's such a good feeling to pay off your loans. So that's, no matter if it's 6 months or a year, that interest adds up really quick. So that's why I'm like, if you could pay them off, at least not pay them off, but pay the interest so that the balance doesn't get larger and larger, because I think it's a shame. $300 is a lot of money. And that's the average. So I'm not saying that's going to happen for everybody. It could be more, it could be less, but that is something that a lot of people just don't have extra hanging around. And honestly, since the pandemic happened, a lot of people haven't really had to pay attention to their loans. And that's 5 years of getting used to not paying a bill that now we have to pay in 6 or 7 months. Okay, so it was announced in January and takes effect in August. Awesome. Yeah, sounds about right. So, and also part of the potential plan that I would do if I was still paying student loans is make any calls you need to know now, because they laid off 1,400 people from the Department of Education. And the Supreme Court just said that basically that's legal. There's no problem with that. So trying to get in there to make payment plans or whatever you got to do, that's going to be hard. But yeah, it's something we got to do because interest is not fun. Before we get into our next topic, which is the state of inflation, I wanted to ask you guys, have you been feeling inflation in your budget? Please let me know in the comments. I would love to know. My answer is yes and no. I say yes because I feel like the big things, I've been feeling it, namely car insurance. That's why when I sold my car, I was so happy because that thing kept going up, no matter that the car was getting older and that I wasn't in accidents. It made no sense to me. Housing costs for me are getting expensive. Taxes are getting expensive, mainly is what's making my housing costs up. And those are big item things. But I will be honest. So Aisha says, of course. I will be honest. Oh, and East Boogie also says, yes, everything is higher. I will be honest, gas is cheaper. Even I don't got a car, but I've noticed that it's gone down. What else is cheaper? Food is not that expensive, and it could be me being cheap, but food has gone down a slight bit. I do remember in January or so, it was more expensive, but for whatever reason, it's gone down and I've been very grateful. So that's why I'm I've been feeling it, yes and no. But the reason why I asked about it is because we got a new report from the Department of Labor Statistics, I think, or Department of Statistics, but it's a actual verifiable source. And that was according to Yahoo Finance. And they said that there are mixed signals. It is around 50-50 at this point, because in June, the 2025 number is up. And economists were expecting it to be up, but not by much. So I'm just going to go to the next slide to show y'all what the different categories are. So overall inflation, which is on this left picture and in yellow, is overall inflation is 2.7%, which is normal. I think before 2025, they were hoping that inflation goes up by 2.7, let's say 3% every year. But then when the pandemic happened, it was 8%. So we're finally down, right? But this June report is giving people alarm because it's going up a little bit. And then it's fine if it's a fluke, but if it goes up every month, let's say till December, it'll be back to 5-6% or maybe 4%. I don't know. But overall, some things, the highest thing was household energy is up 7.1%. Auto insurance is 6.1%. Restaurant meals is 3.8%. I've seen that because where I work, it's gone up a little bit, but people aren't noticing it. So they're still buying. Housing is up 4%. And the things that are cheapest is gasoline. Like I said, gasoline has been cheap. I don't know if y'all been feeling it. Y'all the ones that be driving cars. What else? Something else that I saw that was interesting. Groceries is only up 2.4%. That makes sense. College tuition 2.2, so it's kind of cheap to go to college now, which is good. Yeah. And the picture on the right is where they're saying that consumer inflation rises less than anticipated in June. It's at 2.9% core, and then core CPI is 2.9% and CPI is 2.7. Don't ask me what that means, but I will say that in May 2025 it was 2.4%, and in June it's 2.7%, and the economists were thinking it would only go up to 2.6%. So it's a little bit higher. Now, we can't say inflation is about to get bad or it's about to get good. It's too early, but I think it's something we need to watch. And the reason why I say that is because we got a deadline within a few days for tariffs, for the, like, I guess, let's say second round of tariffs. And I don't know how the world is going to react. And if we don't get stuff coming to this country, it's going to be more expensive for us to get these things. So it's something we need to watch. And then speaking of, one of our competitors, China, is actually doing well in the state of what's going on with the 2025 tariff changes. And I say that because they reported having a $586 billion with a B dollar trade surplus. And that's because their exports are up 5.8% and their imports are up 1.1%. That is a low number, but they're happy because like a few months ago, their imports were down like 16%. Now, as compared to us in America, our exports, on the other hand, are down like 16.1%. So we have inflicted all of these rules, and the country that I think we were aiming to hurt, they have figured a way to adjust. And what's that word? Evolve. Natural selection, right? So China specifically has been able to do that because they have diversified to other markets. They are diversifying to India, Korea, Japan. Yahoo Finance specifically said 10 other Asian countries, but I just know from doing my other research, like they're not playing. They're also talking to countries in BRIC, which I think is Brazil, Russia, Indonesia, and I don't know what C is, but they are somehow making sure that even if America is a country that another country is trading with, they're also doing some trade deals with them too. Because these other countries, if it's too expensive to trade with us, they're going to try to go trade with someone who's offering them a better deal. The Great Depression started from tariffs. Lack of tourism will kill this economy. Yes, the Great Depression did start with tariffs. It did. I'm picking up what you're throwing, Aisha. Yes, you are sure right about that. And then lack of tourism will kill the economy. Tourism is down for a lot of reasons. And it's just too soon. It's only been almost 6 months, but I hear you. And yep, it's something to consider. And then us in America, we are at a trade deficit because exports were down Q1. I will say, there's some good news from tariffs. There are a couple good things. One of the good things is manufacturing in America has increased, but I don't think it's a significant increase. You know, when you're taking a statistic class in college or in high school, it has to be a significant change. The increase is up. Like a lot, there are some companies that are making pacts or promises to build stuff here instead of their original plans, which is to go overseas. And another thing is these tariffs are bringing in money, but you have to look at the perspective. So tariffs did bring in $96.8 billion. That seems like a lot of money, but it's not that much money because from income taxes alone, last year, that brought in 2.4 trillion with a T. So 100 billion, let's round that 98.6 up to 100 billion with the B, is nothing compared to 2.4 trillion with the T. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. Like, I mean, it is bringing in some money, but how much money is it from people who are just doing their labor and giving the government income tax? So I thought it was cool that I was able to find that number because it gives context. I mean, it is bringing money, but is that a 98.6 billion? I feel is a drop in the bucket considering $2.4 trillion that you just get from your workers in America. I don't really see that as like a big hoorah, we did something. And Americans are, it's going to be too soon for us to say. And because of that, the next topic we're going to talk about is portfolio balancing. Americans are not willing to wait it out, and they have increased into bond funds and decreased from stock funds. So on the right, I have this little pie chart because like when we're investing, especially in our 401ks, it shouldn't all be, let's say blue was stocks. It can't be 100% blue. And let's say green was bonds. It can't be 100% green. We need to have like a balance, right? And bonds are considered safer. So you want more bonds theoretically when you are in your sixth decade, around 60 and your 50s, and less stocks. And you want more stocks in your earlier decades, 20s, 30s, and 40s. And according to the research that has been found, people in Q2 decided that they did not want to deal with that big dip in the future. So they took their money out of stock and put it into bond funds. So on the left side, blue, 41% of bond funds were added to. And in the right, this orange column, 92% of target date funds, they were taking out of. Now, target date funds are funds, they're ETFs, they're stocks, and they start out risky if you're young, and then they eventually get safer as you get older. 92% of them were changed. They took their money out of that, and then we saw an increase in people putting money into bonds. So I have here on the right of the slide, kind of like an example. When you're 25, you want to have 75% in stock, 25% in bond. My bad, y'all. That's supposed to say bonds. Orange is supposed to be bonds. Then when you're 30, you want 70% in stock and 30% in bonds. And then you'll see as you go, like let's say 50, this is arbitrary. You want 50% in stock and 50% in bonds. And then when you're about to retire at 65, you want only 25% in bonds. In stock and 75% in bonds. Because as you get older, you want to get safer and again put it in a bond because it's safer. Now, the question is, what is young though? Because these people that took their stock, that took money out of stocks, was that a hasty decision? I know people who have changed it slightly to get ahead because they knew that the stock market was going to go to poo-poo because of what was going to happen with the tariffs. And they saved a lot of their portfolio. I decided not to because I specifically have a plan to change it every 2 years because I'm weird. I'm not saying change it every 2 years. I think the general rule of thumb is you should change it at least once a decade to get it more from, take some from stocks and put it to bonds. But I do plan on changing it September, and I'm going to try to do a video to bring you along with me to show you how I do it, just to show you how I do it. Let me see. Aisha is saying, I'm 35. I have 0 in bonds. I feel like 35 is too high. You have 0 in bonds? Wow. You are not playing. You are so, what is it? You're like, give me all the risk. You are the opposite of conservative. So you are, I don't know if liberal is the right word, but that's what's up. I'm too scared. I did 100 minus my age. So right now I'm 38. So I think I have, the last time I changed it, I'm 36% in bonds, and what's 100 minus 36? 100 minus 36. 64% in stock. Because I'm conservative. Let me see. I wish I was 35 again. I'm 58 and I do have more investment in stocks. Okay, so you're 58 and you are When I'm 58, I'm gonna have 50% in bonds and the other part in stock. I am so conservative, y'all. I don't know if y'all have realized about me, but I'm conservative fiscally. Hi, Marie. It's okay. I'm glad you're here. Hi. Thanks for stopping by. Y'all, okay. That's what's up. No, yeah. That's good to know that you guys are risky. And that's what I'm saying. What is young? I get it though. Like Aisha, I could easily, I think 40 is the end of young for as far as your retirement. I think 45 is when you have to become a little bit more conservative. I don't know. I have money anxiety. That's why I'm just like, and it's doing well for me right now. So Aisha, I want to ask you, when do you think you're going to switch some things around? Are you going to be like East Boogie in your 50s still like that? I only have a 401k and a Roth. I was planning adding bonds when I'm 55. Okay. Wow. Okay. Let me see. East Boogie says, I'm willing to take more risks as I'm retired USAF and just retire. Okay. All right. That's awesome, y'all. I'm getting to know y'all. That's what's up. Well, I'm conservative over here. Don't mind me. But I hope that it works out for y'all, because I get it. Like, I don't think you're old until retiring until you're like 45, and I think then you should. But y'all said to hell with that. Y'all gonna be risky all till the end. Okay, I'm here for it. I'm 45 and have 55% invested in stocks, bonds, and 45 in cash. Okay, that's what's up. So okay, you're conservative like me, Marie. I hear it. See, so there's a little bit of everything in here. You're more conservative than me, Marie. So there's Marie, there's me, East Boogie, and Aisha over here. There's a spectrum, which is probably what life is really like. Is that the last thing I have? And that was the last thing, y'all. And then I was looking at gold prices. Gold is up a little bit. It's not at its peak, which was in May. It was at almost 3,500. I think we have like 2 more weeks to see how this tariff thing is going to go. If it sends the stock market down, we might have more issues. And maybe gold will go back up because people don't want to invest in America. But yeah, it's something to keep watch of. And that's it. Pretty much, y'all, wrapping that up. Aisha says, I have a high yield saving account as well. Yes, I do have that. I have an HYSA. One thing I don't have is an HSA. I need to look into that. But to wrap up, I did not talk about the big, beautiful bill this week again, because I think we're kind of tired of that. It's already law. We'll figure that out in 2026 when we start seeing the repercussions. I wanted to say, I don't think we should be making any rash decisions with our 401ks, which it doesn't look like any of people in the live chat are doing that. They have felt the way they have felt before, and they're sticking with it. I also am sticking with it. I'm not making any drastic plans, because I'm just like, I made a plan before when I started doing this 10 years ago, and I'm sticking to that plan. I don't care what's happening. And I still consider myself young in that sense, where I'm still in my 30s. So if it did go to poo-poo real bad, I still have time for it to go up, China is doing well despite tariffs being terrible. Inflation will need to be constantly monitored. We'll see how it is in the summer and going into the holiday season, and gold is still up. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Let me know in the group chat. Let me see. But if not, we're going to keep moving forward. Let me see. I forgot. Okay, you have an HSA as well. That's what's up. I honestly don't get that, and I need to look that up. My job also doesn't provide me with one. And I don't know if my old job had one. I just was never in. It's just something I don't understand. Some things I just don't be getting. Aisha says, when everyone panics, we become exactly. That's why I'm chilling. Like, when you have a financial foundation that's built like a good financial, like on rock and not sand, all the things that come, the wind and stuff, really doesn't affect you. It's for people, I think, who maybe didn't take time to educate themselves or haven't had an opportunity, because I know that's a thing. We're so busy in life, we don't get to talk about investing. You have to want to do it for yourself, because no one else is going to do it. I agree. Exactly. And we are reaping the benefits. I mean, the stock market was down. I'm looking at my phone. The stock market was down 300 points. But overall, we're pretty much where we were in January. And it almost passed 45,000 this last 2 weeks or so. So I could see it being 46, 47 in December. And that means everybody gonna make money. I did lose $10,000 in my 401k by April, but I've made that and more of it back. So that's right. When everyone panics, we become rich, rich. Thank you guys so much for showing. Oh my gosh, 11 people in the chat. Thank you so much. East Boogie, you have been a day one. Marie, you have been a day one. Aisha, I'm so happy to have you. Fun size as well. Thank you guys all for hanging out. And I will be back next week. Talk to you later.